comments.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman and Ranking Member, for moving this long overdue legislation forward. Just for the record, actually, I'll insert the title page of this report, which is the federal government must stop sitting on its assets, which I helped produce in October of 2010. And we were in the minority, our side, and we had time to look at proposing some things that would make a difference. One of the sections deals with what we found as thousands of properties, both buildings and vacant properties that sat idle, billions and billions of dollars. And actually, the first one we lead with was the old post office right down the street, which is 400,000 square feet, half of it empty, and then an annex that was newer than the 1890s building that had been vacant for 15 years. When I became chairman, the first hearing we held, and I asked Mr. Denham to become the chairman of Economic Development and Public Buildings, we held a hearing in that building. It was 32 degrees outside, 38 degrees inside. We dragged the bureaucrats in. They did nothing for a year. We did another hearing, and then they announced putting it up for tender. That was losing $6 to $8 million a year. The deal that we cut, Mr. Trump wanted, as everybody knows now. Some people say he paid too much for it, but we'll be getting about $250,000 a month plus a percentage of gross. You'll have one of the finest buildings, hotels, a commercial center, the largest banquet facility east of the Mississippi. That will be where, in the annex where we held the hearings. But that and then a series of other buildings in the district, the Georgetown power plant, the cotton exchange, all turned assets that were sitting idle into something productive. Mr. Chaffetz and Mr. Denham introduced legislation. It wasn't as good as this legislation, but everybody worked together, and this actually puts together a board of professionals. You wouldn't turn your property over to the federal government to manage, and bureaucrats can't make a decision of what to do with it. They don't even know what inventory we have. This will make certain that we have a good inventory of what assets we have. Then we'll look at the highest and best use, and then we will propose something that makes certain that they move forward with those idle assets. So it's a great piece of legislation. Now, I did notice that this does not cover DOD, Mr. Chairman, and I think we should look at DOD. We just had the report here on high-risk assets with GAO the other day, and that's where this came into discussion. They have thousands of buildings and properties that are also sitting idle. So I think we need a model like this also for DOD and take the next step. But this is a good bill. It's been worked out. You've done a great job. We need to get it passed in place, and it'll make a big difference for the taxpayers. I yield back.